Good Sunday morning. So, I have bad news. So I was gonna make a video on fixing up the Honda. That Honda. I'll go into it here in a second. But I was gonna make a video because my brother got a new car, and so he handed the Honda down to me. Pretty cool. So handed the Honda down to me, and I drove it home from Tacoma for, man, it was like a 3-hour drive due to a fatality accident, unfortunately. But while I was driving it, I was like, holy crap, man, you've been daily driving this car in this condition. The heater barely worked, the brakes barely worked, the steering input would go dead. So like you'd be doing like 80 miles down the freeway and you'd go to turn and then nothing, and then it'd start turning again. It was scary. It was a scary drive. It takes a lot for me to be afraid of vehicles, but that car was terrifying to drive. Sipping on some Banquet today. It is so cold out here that my beer is freezing. But so it was terrifying to drive. I was like, hey man, yeah, cool, I'll keep the Honda. It's got a lot of potential. Fix it up, it'd make a great daily driver while I figure out what to do with that car, and then daily drive this car while I work on that car. So the deal is I'm gonna daily drive the silver car until that car's fixed. Well, because of the extreme cold, this car is now having issues. The last couple of days, it's been like 14 degrees outside Fahrenheit, so it's pretty cold. But I'll go over the things that you guys missed. I did take video the day that I was fixing the Honda, just to kind of get starts on it. I don't know what happened, but none of that video was on my GoPro when I turned it on this morning, which really sucks because we did inner outer tie rods that fixed the steering. We removed this valance that I now have to replace these stupid caps on. Those are super easy to break, so I got to replace a couple of those. We removed the valance, uncovered that there was a rat's nest and a bunch of other stuff clogging up the heater vents and stuff. And then so it's getting decent heat again, but it still doesn't blow very strong. So I ordered a blower motor for this car. It hasn't come in yet. It's supposed to come in today. We did brakes with an awesome spray paint caliper job, but the biggest part was getting the steering safe. The issue with the brakes is sometimes like you press on the brakes and they will slowly just kind of bleed to the floor, which is super weird because it's not losing brake fluid or anything. So I'm guessing that there is something going on with the master cylinder. So that's going to be another thing. I got to get parts for that car today. So I'm going to try out this car to drive down to the store to go get parts for that car. It runs great, it just doesn't drive great. The engine is flawless, doesn't leak, doesn't smoke, doesn't tick. It's an awesome runner, it just doesn't drive. And eventually it needs new coilovers because the coils are completely blown out on this car. God only knows how long these coils have been on here. It's got full adjustable coils, but oh God, they're nasty sounding. Right now, it's so cold that I think it froze the coils. I had my little silver car parked over here. The tires were frozen to the ground. You can see where the white spots, the tires were froze to the ground. And then this morning, when I tried to come out here to the shop, I had to dig out the valley for the door because the door was frozen shut. Crazy. I've dealt with cold weather before, but this just seems different. The air feels different. Get winded pretty easy. It's almost like the air thinned out. It's crazy. I'm not no meteorologist or freaking weather guy, but it's definitely one of the coldest I have felt in my adult life. But lived in New York for a little while I was just an infant. My mom says we've dealt with way crazier weather conditions out there, but I didn't remember them. I was just a wee lad. So what we're doing today is, because of this extreme cold, this battery one is extremely old. It's 2016. So that battery is really bad. And then we're gonna address this today. So the alternator is not sitting straight, it's sitting cockeyed, and then when you put it under load, it pulls it even further away, and it's just eating at this belt. It is tearing this belt up. That belt is probably about to snap. I wonder if I have another belt for this. If not, then we're gonna have to steal it from Panda. I think this is actually the belt for that car, which is super awesome. Yes, it is. Is it in good condition though? Why do I have a spare belt is the question. Did it get hot? Did it? No, it doesn't look like it got hot or anything. Cool. So we got lucky. I do have a spare belt for this car because I've dealt with this issue before on Panda. And eventually what happens is, if you don't you don't take care of this, is on Panda, this bolt right here, this upper bracket snapped, and it just dropped the entire alternator while I was driving. And that belt is also about to snap too, which is crazy. Look at how much wiggle this has. So that's what we're addressing. That's where all my squealing's coming from. It's getting a killer power draw. My battery light turns on, all my stuff dims out, my heater stops working. This happened at like 4 a.m. the other day when it was like 10 degrees outside and it was snowing, and I was on my way to work, so it was super scary. It's finally time to address this. So first things first, we don't have to jack up the car for this, luckily. First things first, we're gonna take care of that alternator though, and I will walk through that. To start on that, disconnect your battery. Pretty self-explanatory. Take that off, pull those. And then the reason you're gonna take your battery off is because this one down here, underneath this little cover, I just had this car idling, so it's really hot. But underneath this cover is a bolt. You're gonna disconnect that after you disconnect the battery that has power to it. So if you touch your wrench or whatever, or a socket to this and then to another piece of metal, it will arc, and it's not fun. It will shock you a little bit. So disconnect your battery, disconnect this, disconnect this, disconnect this right here. Don't know if you can see that. It's all super straightforward, but I'll walk you through it here in a little bit. All right, so we're gonna start on the battery, like I said. Trying to find what I need. I think it's a 12 or a half inch. Just found a 12, so we'll try 12 first. Oh, it's not 12. So close yet so far. There's no way it's a 14. It might be a 14. All of these are going to be different, by the way. Your guys's probably won't be 14s on your Hyundai, as long as it's the stock part. This car has been around the block a couple hundred times. If I remember correctly, my stepsister used to own this car a long time ago, and then she didn't want it anymore, or she got a new car or something like that had happened. And then my dad ended up with this car, and then later down the road some more, after my dad had ended up with this car, he gave it or sold it, one of those two, to my little brother. Hey, look, another 12 that I don't need. But he gave it or sold it to my little brother, one of those two. And then after some time, the little brother no longer wanted it. They didn't care to drive it. They didn't care to take care of it. So they offered it to me for a couple hundred. And then, not gonna lie, I mean, I know they're my family and whatever, but they offered it to me for close to 1,000, honestly. I think it was more than that when they originally decided they wanted to get rid of it. Man, that thing is on there. I need to find my tip. But they had offered it to me for more than I wanted to pay for it, because when I originally had bought in Panda, the little black car out there, she was haggard and beat and whatever have you, and I bought her for, I think it was like $700. So when they offered me this car that had been sitting for 2 years and blah blah blah, hadn't been taken care of, I was like, no, I'm not interested, I'm sorry. It's been sitting for far too long for that kind of deal and stuff, so I'm gonna have to pass on that. Well, a couple months went by, and eventually they said, hey, what about $500? I said, yes, I will do $500 for that car. Not a problem. So we worked the deal out, gave him $500, and after a lot of love and care for this thing, she's a daily driver. And now I'm just dealing with the typical things that I had dealt with Panda with already. So the issues that this car has, they're not new to me. They're all issues that I've dealt with already, and they're not even bad. They're good running cars. They do consume a bit of oil, which is, I mean, it's a 4-cylinder Hyundai. It's got almost 300,000 miles on it. Yeah, it's gonna have a little oil consumption problem. Whoopie-doo. But for the most part, the biggest issues I've dealt with is crank position sensor, mass airflow sensor, and alternator. That's usually about it. Other than that, haven't really had any problems with Panda, other than the fact that I was modifying it, doing things people hadn't done in a long time to these cars, and then daily driving it and beating the heck out of her. So yeah, I was breaking her often, going, yeah, let's squeeze a little bit more power out, or try to at least. And yeah, these cars weren't made for that. That goes back on the tangent of, there is a WRC version of these cars out there in the world, like Europe and stuff, that people have built. But then you got like an Evo engine and transmission and all-wheel drive system, and they're pushing 400 something horsepower and crazy. And then you've got the other people that have time and money, unlike me, that swap in the 2.0 engines or really just off the wall engines, and they make 400 plus horsepower. It's possible, but it's not ever done on this engine. Not that I know of. But that was kind of the goal for Panda out there, is I wanted to take this 1.5 and just try and do something better with it, try and turbo it or something. And we might still be there, we might not, I don't know. There's still a lot going on. So I removed the battery. Now you're gonna come down here after your car is not so hot. Let's see here, where's that stupid clip? There's a clip right here. You just kind of wiggle it out. Boop. You pull that clip. Your button's gonna be right here. Boop, boop. Got a little button there. That just goes out of the way. Now you have access to this thing that usually breaks off because it doesn't like to just open up like it's supposed to. What the heck? There we go. Just got to work on it a little bit. Not a big deal. Ooh, that's making me lightheaded standing like that. So, let's see if I can get some light down there. So, there's a bolt right there. I'm pretty sure it's either a 14 or a 12. I've got a 14 in my hand right now, and it's too long. Let's try and go find a different 14. That one's too big. It's either a 14 or a 12. What are you? You are 12. Let's try this 12. Oh, it's so close. It'd help if my teammates would put crap back after doing stuff in the shop. They're really bad at doing that. So am I though. That's also a 12. Where are you? Too long. Somewhere over the rainbow, I have what I'm looking for. That's for the small one, but that might work. That's 14. Hey. Let's go see if it fits. It barely fits. Hopefully it's not super tight. You're gonna want to find the correct one. But with my shop being all discombobulated once more, I'm just kind of gonna give her a shot here. Shot in the dark. Get my little wrench going. All right, let's see if I can get that. Hey, first try. So it's probably a 13 because the 14's got a little bit of movement on it, but not bad. It shouldn't be overly crazy tight or anything. It's so cold outside that the exhaust right here is still warm, but it feels so good on my hands. Oh, I lost a washer. I forgot that there's a washer on that. Oh well, I'll get that in a little bit. All right, I'm gonna come over here, disconnect that. See if I can get this off there. Oh, don't be a butt. Come on, there we go. Go ahead and get that whole thing out of your way. So what we're gonna work with is now, there's a bolt right here on the power steering pump that is a pain in the butt to get to. You're gonna go through the hole right here. Oh man, you can't even see it. There's a hole right, usually in front of the power of that bolt we're looking for. Or you can try and fit a wrench in there if you're lucky. Usually I use a socket. We might have to use a wrench, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna just loosen this pulley up just enough to where we can get this bottom, this belt on the bottom down here. We're gonna just slide that off the bottom because it's in the way of this belt. So that's what we're gonna do. I will let you know how that goes. All right, so we're working on that bolt. All right, so I grabbed a 12. Man, I don't know. There's a ground strap right here that I don't think Panda has. This doesn't look normal to me. This looks like something that my dad had it on. So we got a 12. Go ahead and just grab onto that bolt. You're not trying, oh yeah, cool. That's not that bad. So you're not trying to take the bolt off. We're just loosening it so that we can move the power steering pump forward. You'll see that here in a second. I don't know if that's moving. Is it moving? Yeah, I don't know. Yep, it was. So I just grabbed the top right here. After you loosen up that bolt, you slide the power steering pump forward. Now your belt's got plenty of slack in it. I'm gonna go ahead and just pull the whole belt off. It's really simple. It's not hard to take on and off. It only goes on in one direction, so you're not gonna mess anything up. You're not gonna, I mean, unless you forget it. But there you go. This belt is kind of old. Ooh, the belt's pretty old. It's a little cracking and wearing. We might be picking one of those up. If your belt looks like this, and it's cracking and splintering, go grab a new belt. They're fairly cheap. They're maybe 10, 12 bucks. Cheap, cheap, cheap. All right, now we can move on to the alternator. Now that the belt in front is taken care of. So Let's see if I remember how to do this. Usually, dang it. Usually, you can, oh, bye. You can just adjust it on the fly. Oh, come here. Oh, come on. There we go. But I should be able to just loosen this up. It doesn't matter because I'm gonna have to take this whole thing apart, to be honest. But I'm trying to just kind of get the belt off for now. So this is going to be your adjustment screw. Believe it or not, this is how you tighten and loosen the alternator. Yeah, it's coming loose a little bit. It's going to take a lot more than what I'm doing though. Let's go get a 12 socket. That'll work. See if we can do this a little faster. Else we're going to be here all day. Surprisingly enough, it might be warming up out here because I don't feel very cold. Either that or I'm getting used to it, one of the two. I don't even know if that's moving. I can't tell, to be honest. So, what we're gonna do instead, oh yeah, you're the wrong size. Is it a 14? No, it is not. Why would it be? All right, back to the wall. Let's try a 13. Hopefully it's a 13. Like I said, again, your guys's might be different. This car's been played with a little bit. Things have been tried to be fixed. Just not quite there yet. Man, Lisa, why are you not moving? Come on, get off there. So that's loose. Ah, there we go. Got it that time. Now, you can just hand twist this until it comes off like that. Scoot it forward. Let's get that belt off for one. Ooh, man, that thing is hammered. Oh, it's missing teeth. Woo! It's missing chunks and everything. You can tell it was getting so hot that it turned the rubber hard, and then the rubber started splintering off. No wonder why I was losing power and stuff. Woo, man. I was just kind of being lazy and ignoring it. This is what happens when you get lazy and you start ignoring problems. You can barely see it through the camera, but oh man, she is just tore up. That belt is toast. Yep, and those are the same belts too. Lucky me. All right, that one goes in the bin. Garbage. It just landed on my tire thing. Didn't even mean to try to do that. Pulley's not making any weird noises. That's nice. That's got some noise to it. That pulley's fine too. All right. So from here, what we're gonna do is there's a bolt on the very bottom of this, and that's the problem. That is the problem child. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get ready to take this bolt off and then completely remove the alternator, and I'll show you what's happening with that. All right. I had to take a break, had to go get some gloves because it is freezing. Also, I got one of those cool on-off things. I'm wearing gloves now so I can't feel the button. It's got a flashlight, 3 settings on this, 3 settings on the flashlight, and it does the whole on-off thing when you activate that. Got it on Temu, believe it or not, like $3. Sure, it took a little bit to get here. I don't think it took too long though. It was only like a week. But if you're skeptical from ordering from Temu, sure, the quality is not going to be amazing, But this does exactly the same thing as all the other ones that are advertised, and it's like super good, surprisingly. So right now we're going to unhook this bolt. Should be able to actually just undo this bolt, and I'll show you. So we're going to undo this bolt completely, disconnect this what you call it, your adjustment screw, or whatever, and I'll show you what's going on here. So let's take this adjustment screw off if I can by hand. It's gonna suck. So let's see if I can fix you guys in one spot so I can show you what's going on. So the hardest part about trying to make videos, I've learned, is trying to get, hey, there we go, trying to get good angles so that you guys can be a part of it and see what I'm doing. All right, that's just spinning, so it lasts. Mine's a 13 on both sides. I'm just too lazy to go find another 13. Wait, wasn't one of those a 13? No, you're a 12. Alright, so I'm gonna do this the hard way, I guess, because I'm too lazy to go get the tool I need. So when you undo this, you'll see what's going on. You can already see how much movement there is right there, and I haven't even touched this upper bracket yet, and that's what's causing the entire problem with these alternators, is the lower bracket. So what we're gonna do, I'll show you, so we're gonna fix that bolt on the lower bracket, because if you don't, eventually, whoop, you're falling. Eventually, it'll wear over time, and you will break this upper mounting bracket due to all that tension and stress and stuff, and you're gonna lose your alternator just like I did, or you're gonna keep going through belts, or you're gonna keep just random stuff. This is one of the biggest problems with this motor, is the design for this alternator. Not the alternator itself, but the brackets. The brackets are probably the worst I've ever seen. Why are you not coming out? That's a good question. And we're slowly, GoPro, quit trying to fall, come on. Well, that works kinda. We're slowly getting after this bolt. I don't know if it's threaded in or something, because I don't remember mine being threaded in. Might be threaded on this side. Probably is. Feels like it is. Oh, there goes that washer. That's fine, I've got more. Yeah, it's got to be threaded in on that side. Alright, so now that those are off, I'll show you the major malfunction. There it is. So, oh man. So, the bottom of this alternator doesn't thread through a hole. It just sits in a little valley thing. And that valley eventually will work itself loose and cause all this motion and stuff. I don't remember exactly how I fixed mine on the Hyundai, so we're gonna kind of try a couple things, but I'll show you the valley I'm talking about. It sits right here. It just sits in that. And eventually, over time, it starts to loosen up inside of there. So what we're gonna do is I think I'm gonna buy some spacers. Not spacers, but I'm gonna buy something for that. Some washers or something. Ooh, man, that's bright. The light on my GoPro is so bright. But eventually, what happens is that little valley starts to groove out from all the wiggling, and then it doesn't matter how much you tighten your alternator at that point, it will just eventually keep getting loose to the point where it's so loose and it's worn itself out that movement eventually breaks the upper alternator bracket, which is big bad. Like I said before, I've dealt with it. My alternator physically snapped and fell off. The only thing that really holds these alternators in place is this upper bracket right here. It just sits into that groove. It's a terrible design. It's an awful design. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some washers for both sides. Maybe tape this up a little bit so that it can't move. Like tape it up, thicken this bolt up a little bit. It's an awful design. I'll let you guys know what I gotta do. I'm gonna run to the hardware store and grab what I need though. And we'll go from there. All right, and we're back. Oh, the screen's a little dirty. So, I took the Honda for a test drive down the road, not far at all, not even a mile. I live really close to an Ace Hardware, thankfully, because that was still scary. I don't know what's going on with the Honda. So, we replaced the inner and outer tie rod. Here's your outer tie rod, here's the inner tie rod. Here's why. Well, I didn't check or replace the passenger side one, because this one, like when you lifted the car up and you checked it, oh, the whole tire moved. It was all wonky. So I thought for sure that was going to be an easy fix. Still the same thing. It's like wandering all over the place. It feels like there's a dead spot, so I'm wondering if it's actually the steering rack itself, or part of the steering rack, or the other side, or a bad wheel bearing. It might be a little bit of everything. That's for a different day though. That's a problem for a different me. So we're gonna get this back up and running. So all I was really able to find to help out the bottom bolt on this is some lock washers. So I'm gonna put one on every spot for this. So let's get that going real quick like. One lock washer, come on, get in there. Put one there, then do another here. So the crappy thing is I need to thicken up this bolt. I was looking for like a sleeve that I might be able to slide on, like a little metallic spacer or some sort, whatever, that I could slide on and just up the diameter of that so that it would sit inside that groove really nice. I was not successful in finding one that wouldn't be too big. I mean, you could drill out the holes for a bigger bolt though. I didn't think about that until just now. But then I'd have to drill out the holes on the alternator, and that's a whole different thing. So what I've done before is I just used 2 rows of electrical tape, row here and a row here, and you have to do it while the bolt is in place, and that's the part that sucks, so that you can spin it, because once you thicken it up, getting this bolt back into place is impossible. So I'm starting to think I might have messed up a little bit, but I don't think so. What kind of washer is that? That was a lock washer. another lock washer here, and then the bolt. That'll be fine. And then, like I said, we're gonna throw some electrical tape on here to thicken the diameter. I'm gonna go ahead and get that going. All right, so I went with friction tape. I had bought some friction tape for the race car when I was doing the wiring. So I went with friction tape instead on that bolt. Now I'm getting it tightened up. As you can see, it doesn't move so much as it used to anymore. So I'm hoping that once I get this piece on again, we'll be in better shape. I also figured out that because of all that time that it's been moving, it bent this piece that way. So I had to kind of finesse it back over here so that the pulley lines up correctly again, which could have been the issue the whole time. I'm gonna finish tightening up that bolt and then we'll go from here. This part is self-explanatory. Use some friction tape, or if you can find a sleeve to sleeve that bolt, figure out that diameter a bit better. Get that in there, tighten it up, and then mount it the rest of the way like you would, and we'll go through that together also. All right, so I got that tightened down as much as I believe I should. Use your own judgment on that. You don't want to over tighten it and risk the ability to snap that bolt. Wouldn't be the end of the world, because at this step in the stage right here, it's not mounted to anything really. It's just kind of sitting there. If I wanted to, I could pull it straight back out, but I'm not going to do that because that would suck. I'm going to start working on this piece now. This bracket that I don't care for, to be honest. Just gotta figure out the orientation once more. So it's gonna sit like this. Maybe. Get that going up in there. Not wanting. There we go. Now it's sitting where it should. And back that out. Maybe. Hey, give it back. Back this out so that we have proper adjustment ability. Then we're going to throw the belt on. Belt's super simple. It only goes on one way. If you mess it up, to be honest, you shouldn't be working on cars. Oh, come on. Okay. Why is that giving me problems? It shouldn't be giving me issues, but it is. We'll address that here in a second, I guess. All right, so this belt, see if I can get it first try. It's kind of a tight spot, but it isn't too hard. Like I said, it only goes on one way. Make sure you get it on the right way though. Oh, now you want to sit there and be like that. This thing's driving me nuts. There we go. Holy crap. That was a whole ordeal. Oh, stupid. There. Good Lord. Quit fighting me. I'm trying to fix you. There we go. Wow. You put up a little fight there, didn't you? Alright. So what we're going to do is I got a spare lock washer. From the bottom one. I thought I was going to use 3, but I didn't, so we're going to use 2 lock washers on that bottom one Again, find something to make the diameter of that bottom bolt thicker. That way it doesn't move around. Use spare lock washer for up top. Then we're going to tighten that all the way down after I get the proper tension on it. So we're going to use the tensioning bolt. That's pretty good. It's a little loose still. Tensioning bolt's going to be a 12, and you're going to just screw on it. That's how you, there we go. If you over tighten this bolt, you will strip it out. There you go, good deflection. And the alternator doesn't move. That's what I'm talking about. That's winning right there. I need another 13 though. Oh, where's my 13s? You'll work. Yeah, that works. So, once you get your belt nice and tight, nice deflection, it's not moving, go ahead and tighten up these two bolts. Hey, oh, dude. It's a very simple process. Requires minimal tools to do. Just takes a little bit of patience because your car will fight you. It'll tell you it doesn't like you. It'll say that this is a waste of time and that it's just going to do it again later down the road. Oh, come on. Why do I feel like you're not going anywhere? This one you're going to want to tighten basically as tight as you can humanly get so it doesn't lock on you. I've had that happen. Over time it's felt like it's loosened up, stuff like that. So I would tighten this one pretty well. Even a little bit of blue Loctite wouldn't have hurt. But now, oh, don't tell me I just got stuck on there. Oh, sure did. That's fine. I've got pliers and such. Oh, you suck. It'll just stay there. For the time being. Got a little bit of movement, but it's not bad at all. So much better. So much better. It's not all over the place like it was. I can handle that. It's not going to be perfect every try, so. Good Lord. That's what happens when you use the wrong size socket, people. Just use the right size socket the first time and you won't have to do what I just did. I don't even know where it went. Somewhere in the abyss, I assume. I'll have to find out later. And that might be a problem. Yeah, it's a lot better. Ha! There it goes. Oh, that's so much better. Cool. So now, the part that I don't like to do is getting the power steering belt back on and tight. Putting it back on is the easy part. Getting the power steering to be tight can be challenging. There we go. So what I like to do to get this nice and tight is grab your 12, same that you used before. Here's the fun part. See if I can do this on camera. We'll see. We'll see. Try and find a place for you guys to sit though. That's the hard part. Alright, so what I like to do is I take a big old screwdriver and I push back on the power steering belt, or the power steering pump. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. First check how tight it is. Yeah, that's good. Like that. It ain't got to be extremely tight, but I like mine to be pretty tight. Oh man, this is not going to be easy. Don't do it. Oh, that fell right between the pulleys. Kind of got lucky on that. All right, see if I can do this. It helps if you have a buddy that is willing to hang out in your cold shop with you and give you a hand for this part, so you don't gotta do that. Oh yeah, that was a good chunk. Have your wrench slip and take a chunk out of your finger like it just did mine. Make sure it's nice and tight. You don't want this walking off, because if it walks off, you're going to be right back here hating life. There we go. Ooh. Trigger warning, a little bit of blood right there. But now it's nice and tight. Ooh, yeah, I got myself pretty good. I'd show you guys, but in fear that the YouTubes would take it down for whatever reason, I won't show you the boo-boo I just gave myself. So now that those are tight and whatever, so what we're gonna do next is wire it back up. I'm gonna go clean my hand though, that way you guys don't have to look at it. Sweet. All right, it wasn't even bad for what it was, honestly. Just a little scrapey scrape that's trying to bleed. So we're just gonna keep moving on. All right, stick you guys right here and we're gonna put all of our wires back together. So, we'll start off with the plug and play stuff. Actually, no, we won't. We'll start off with this piece. The piece that connects power. Go ahead and slide her on there. Grab your little bolt. Hopefully you've been keeping track of your bolts. Get it back on. Ah, this will be so nice. It won't squeak anymore at me. Man, this car's been yelling at me to do this for a while now. But it's such a pain in the butt to do. It's not really a pain in the butt, it's just annoying when you've had to do it 100 times before. It's such an easy fix and you're like, man, I got better things I could be doing with my day than working on the alternator for this stupid car that we all seem to love for some reason. There we go, nice and tight. Your cap put back on, there it is, so that nothing can touch your cap. Take this piece, go back here, go right here, take this one down here, and plug it back in here. Boom. That's done. And then, if you've done it right, which you should have, because it's not very hard to do, if you've done it right, your alternator doesn't have a bunch of slack in it anymore. Which means no more squealing. It might take you a couple tries to get it right the first time. It took me a handful of times to get this the first time around because I'd never dealt with this kind of issue before. So when Panda started doing it, I was like, what the heck, dude, I just tightened your belt. What is going on here? It didn't make sense to me. I was like, I'm lost in the dark. Why are you doing this? But now that I've done it a couple thousand times, it's not that bad for me. Let's get the battery put back on. Hopefully my battery's not toasted. So the biggest issue, are you 14 or 13? The biggest issue with these cars doing this is you can kill your battery also. I know my battery is old and I know my battery is part of the problem, but it's a good battery still. It tested nice. I've got a little battery tester that I use. It tested nice. It shouldn't be in too rough of shape. What are you, a 10? I need a 10. You look like a 10. You're an 11. Dang. Oh, where'd my 10 go? On the wall where it belongs, because I finally put something back for once. Get that going. Little tighty. Yeah, I'm really bummed out. I don't know if I already talked about it or whatever, but I drove the Honda thinking that I fixed the steering on it and stuff. So I was like, yeah, let's take it for a drive or whatever to the parts store. Oh man, no, that car's got a lot of work that still needs to be done. All right, if you've done it right, mind my check engine light. That's for something completely different. Oh, it sounds so good. No, it doesn't. What is going on there? The battery light is flashing at me. I wonder if that alternator's dead. So I've come to the conclusion. So I started the car, the battery light was blinking, which means it's not charging. I gave it some revs and that is making a terrible, terrible noise now. Leading me to believe that that alternator is just completely shot at this point. So I'm gonna undo everything that I just did, which sucks. And then undo everything on Panda and then swap Panda's alternator in here because Panda's not driving anytime soon. In hopes that Panda's alternator is still good too, so wish me luck. I'm gonna just do that because everything I did up into here is how you fix the movement, so that's pretty good. Other than that, I will update you when it's done. Alright, so at the end of that video, I got really annoyed because we spent all that time getting her back together, and when I started it up, battery light was blinking, and when I'd give it a rev, it was making some serious grinding noise. It was the alternator. So not only was the bracket messed up, but the alternator itself was messed up. So like I told y'all in the video, after doing everything that we did, you should be able to pull on your belt and there's no movement. So you got to thicken up that bolt at the very bottom so it doesn't move side to side. Make sure it's tight side to side. You're gonna add one long through bolt from here through here, and then add a nut on this side along with a lock washer, and then you should be good. Everything's perfect. So after stealing the alternator from Panda, getting it parted out basically, can now start the car happy and healthy. My check engine light turned off because I unplugged the battery. That's because I had to bypass some stuff, but now she sounds nice and healthy. I just had to top off her oil because she does go through a little bit of oil. Not a big deal, but she's nice, healthy. That whining noise is my blower motor, but she's blowing really strong now too. So nice, healthy, strong, not blinking anymore. Headlights are nice and bright. Dash lights are nice and bright. I think that's the brightest my dash lights have ever been. In a long while, at least. All classic signs of that alternator telling me, hey man, you should have done this the day we got this car up and running. It's a ticking time bomb. That belt though, so this is what happens when you ignore squealing belts. This was the alternator belt that was hanging on by a thread. It was a full piece, but I was showing my brother how weak it was. I literally just pulled it apart. Crazy. So that was a ticking time bomb. It's all done now though. So that's how you fix the alternator wiggle on a Hyundai Accent. It needs to be done. If your alternator is constantly squealing and you're constantly tightening your belt, you're not helping at all. Do the fix and you'll be set. You should, if you do it right, you should only ever have to do it one time. Other than that, thanks for watching. Have a good day.